My best friend's girlfriend got drunk, went insane and started calling us slurs, ripped stuff off our walls, and then started attacking us, so we called the cops on her and got her arrested, which puts us in the wrong according to her. A few months ago my best friend Mark, 27M, moved his girlfriend Heather, 25F, in with us. My wife, Cindy, 27F, and I, 26M, were okay with this. Mark and I have been friends since elementary school. Right before Heather moved in she got herself pretty drunk that ended in a screaming match with her sister and throwing things at Mark. We weren't too happy with this, but Mark said he talked to her, and she wouldn't get to that point again. Well, on to the story. 2 weeks ago we were all hanging out and having some drinks. Mark and Heather were going a little crazy but they're adults so whatever. Well, Cindy and I decided we were going start on dinner since Heather was pretty unintelligible and it was like 9 p.m. Mark started also working on dinner so I hung out in the living room while Cindy went to our room. Heather goes into their room, then she comes back out and heads outside for like 20 minutes. I asked if she was good and got a small mumble. Heather comes back in, goes into the kitchen and then back into their room again. At this point Mark is done making their dinner and goes into their room. Mark comes out and sits with me in the living room and we are talking about my brother's upcoming bachelor party. We then hear banging coming from their room. Mark went to go check on Heather but she had blocked the door. He convinced her to open it and he went in. Heather starts screaming and yelling, continuing to slam things around. After about 10 minutes of hearing Heather yelling and Mark trying to calm her down I went in and told Heather she needed to calm down. She starts yelling some really weird and extremely racist things, that I won't put here. Heather is half Hispanic half African American BTW. She starts getting louder and tearing things off the walls. I told her she needed to go outside to calm down. She refused and started picking up their bed and slamming it down. I told her if she didn't stop we would call the cops so she could go calm down somewhere else and wasn't tearing things up. She just got louder and slammed the bed even more. I told Cindy to call the cops and tell them we needed Heather gone for the night. 2 cops show up and ask the 3 of us to step outside while they try and talk to Heather who just continues yelling. Then it gets a little quiet and I can see through our screen door I see Heather try punching one of the cops. 5 minutes later, 7 more cops show up. They all run inside and we can hear Heather screaming and yelling still. 10 minutes later they bring her outside in one of those cop bodysuit things they use when someone is struggling and won't stop. They put her in one of the cars and are standing talking to each other. We can hear them saying that she got combative, threw stuff which hit a cop and tried hitting one of them. They cart her off and tell us themselves she is being arrested and ask if we want to press charges. Since she didn't do anything to us we said no. The cops left and we cleaned up the mess in the living room and then hung out with Mark to make sure he was okay. Update. Heather was released the next day with a preliminary hearing set for last Thursday. We obviously spent so much time talking about what had happened. Mark said he was going to break up with Heather and spent that whole first week saying that. Then last week he said he isn't going to break up with her. I told him that's his choice albeit a stupid one, but she is not allowed back at the house at all, and he said he understood. 2 days before the preliminary hearing Cindy and Mark are subpoenaed to court. Sadly, I wasn't so this part is secondhand from Cindy. Cindy told me that because it's a felony the judge is passing the case on to district court for magistrate. I guess the DA went up to Cindy and Mark and said they could offer Heather a plea deal where she would basically be on probation with mandated therapy and mandated AA. Now whether the district judge accepts that is anyone's guess. I talked with Mark that night after I got off work and he said they had a long talk after that and are staying together but won't be attached at the hip. Mark also said Heather doesn't remember anything after we stopped hanging out. He has spent every day since then with her but that's his thing, so I don't really care. Cindy and I were out of town this past weekend and we noticed on our doorbell camera that her car was magically gone at the same time Mark's was gone. I confronted him and he insisted she never went inside, and our doorbell doesn't show she went in. Cindy and I talked and were ready to kick him out too. We had another talk last night and he is moving out because they are finding a place together. We also told Mark we wanted an apology even if Heather didn't think she deserved it. Heather has been telling Mark that she was trying to leave and go to her brother's. She walked outside the one time and came back in with nobody trying to stop her. She also said that I started a confrontation with her and that's why she went off the rails. I called BS because why would we try to stop her from leaving unless it was in a car, and we also asked how she knows this if she was supposedly so blackout that she doesn't remember anything. Mark claims he doesn't remember anything until after the cops left. Which is not true because we talked about what happened multiple times over the days after this occurred. He's just being an idiot and we won't be dealing with it anymore. Either way, both are moving out. Heather isn't allowed back except to get her stuff, and we will have an officer there when she is there.